Apple News and welcome to my review of Arsenal versus Swansea City versus Arsenal. The game ended 2-1 to Swansea City, coming from a goal behind to win 2-1 against Arsenal. Arsenal throw away a lead again in the last half an hour, just like they did against Anderlecht in the Champions League in midweek. So we'll go straight into the first half and we'll talk about the first few minutes. Swansea were applying high pressure to Arsenal, letting Arsenal have all the possession in their own half. However, when they got into Swansea City's half, they were pressurising them, and Arsenal just didn't quite have penetrative edge in the first 40-odd minutes. Swansea City, however, on the break with Jefferson Montero, was absolutely magnificent. He was ripping Callum Chambers to shreds. Callum couldn't get anywhere near the ball, and so Swansea City were absolutely dominant in the... Well, not dominant. They didn't dominate possession, but they had the more chances in the first 40 minutes. And they were very unlucky not to have capitalised on a couple of Montero shots. Bonny had a couple of chances, and obviously Bonny, a penalty appeal. For me, it's a stonewall penalty. Callum Chambers doesn't even try and win the ball. You could say Bonny goes down a little bit too easily, but when you push someone in the back, whether they've pushed you like full on or they've just knocked you, it's still a penalty because you're impeding them from scoring a goal. Therefore, in my opinion, it is a penalty. It probably wouldn't have made him go to ground. Even if it didn't make him go to ground, it's still a penalty. But if he doesn't go to ground, the point is he's not going to get a penalty. So, in my opinion, it was a penalty. But however, in the last 10 minutes, Arsenal probably fashioned the best chance of the game from a beautiful interchange between Alexis Sanchez, then to Oxlade-Chamberlain, then a beautiful 1-2 between him and Welbeck. Put Welbeck through. He went near post, should have gone far post. It was a poor decision from Danny Welbeck. I didn't think he was that good today. He stretched the Swansea defence quite a lot, but he didn't really take his chances, whereas other games he's been quite clinical for Arsenal, but today wasn't one of his best. Swansea obviously continued to fashion a couple of chances in the last. Obviously, they had a free kick towards the end of the half from a break from Jefferson Montero, again taken down by an Arsenal player. The ball was up to the box. Obviously, it was a very poor one. Arsenal also had chances with Oxlade-Chamberlain. Was very effective for Arsenal in the first half, as was Santi Cazorla, having a shots. Obviously, the only save Fabianski really did actually have to make, and the only save both goalkeepers really had to make was the one from Fabianski for Danny Welbeck. But other than that, I didn't think there was any clear-cut chances in the first half. Thought a 0-0 at first half was probably a fair result. Swansea dominated the first kind of section of it, and then Arsenal fashioned a couple of chances toward the end. And then obviously Mertesacker had a header from a corner, which was just wide. He probably should have done a lot better with that, but he wasn't able to. And at this point, Swansea were really probably hoping for half-time, but then obviously he got that free kick and they weren't able to capitalise on it. But then the second half began, and Arsenal probably continued to play pretty well. And for the first 20-odd minutes of the first half, I thought Arsenal fashioned quite a lot of chances. They were very deadly on the counter-attack, as was Swansea City. They were both kind of counter-attacking each other, which led to an interesting spectacle, but it was quite boring to watch in the first half an hour, I'd probably say. But obviously, Jefferson Montero continued to be a nuisance, and then M&S on the right-hand side was causing problems. In the first half, he had a chance where he was not really half a chance, I'd say, where he had a chance to really test Szczesny, but he put it right at him. It was a decent shot. It kind of bobbled up, and Szczesny parried it away. So I thought he was a bit unlucky there. Swansea were a bit unlucky. They could have done a bit more. But then in the second half, M&S was playing a lot better, whipping some good balls in the box, as was Montero. But Arsenal were defending reasonably well, but they were hanging on at certain moments. As was Swansea City at the other end, they were getting some good defence in. But then eventually, Danny Welbeck was put through by Santi Cazorla. He cuts back, pulls it back on the edge. Sanchez had run halfway up the pitch, all the way up the pitch from his own box, from a corner, and he showed his determination and he slotted it home perfectly. And at this point, Arsenal are winning 1-0. You think, you know what, Arsenal are going to win this game. But then you just think, you know what, this is the Premier League. And Monk basically puts on a youth player who I've never heard of before, Barrow. I've never heard of him before. He comes off the bench, attacks Arsenal, runs at them, and then Gibbs, the dirty little git he is, takes him out, pulls him down on the edge of the area, and then Swansea City had a free kick in it, about 30 yards out, You know what, your exceptional free kick takers, that is where they want the free kicks. They don't want it on the edge of the area. They want it with enough space to get it up and down over the wall. And that, for me, was foolish for Arsenal to probably have pulled them down. They would have been better off just letting the young player run at them. But then, obviously, Sigurdsson steps up for the free kick. At this point, Swansea City didn't look like they were going to get anything like this game. But then he obviously smashes it in the top left, well, not smashes it, but places it in the top left-hand corner with a lot of power. Pace, accuracy. It was the perfect free kick. Absolutely superb free kick. I can't tell you how good that free kick was. It was just insane. You have to watch it to truly understand how insane that free kick was. It's so accurate. It is absolutely amazing. At this point, Swansea are like, oh, they're on top of Arsenal right now. Arsenal were really struggling at this point. And then obviously Monk then makes another big change and brings Bonnie off. Instead of putting another striker on, he swaps the strikers. I didn't think Bonnie was that effective. He was getting the ball down, holding it up well, but then Gomis comes on, and he's obviously another player who's a threat in the air. And then once again, Jefferson Montero runs at Arsenal, takes them on, goes past Callum Chambers once again, pulls it back about the penalty, not just in front of the penalty spot, inside the 6-yard area. I don't know where Mertesacker is. He was just nowhere near him, and then also Monreal, poor marking. Why is he playing at centre back? I would prefer if I was an Arsenal fan to have seen Callum Chambers in there, because he did a good job in the first few games. I think he probably actually played better at centre back than he has at right back, because he was awful today. I mean, I've only seen him play a couple of times this season, but that was an absolutely awful performance from Callum Chambers. He was dreadful. And then it comes to Gomis, and obviously Gomis directs it right into the bottom left-hand corner. It wasn't a powerful header, but it was a very accurate one, and it kind of did Szczesny. Szczesny just didn't know where it was going. He just stood in the middle, and the balls ended up in the back of the net. And Swansea now, you know, the game's theirs now. They just sit back, they hold out. Arsenal offered very little threat. Theo Walcott obviously coming back, that's great for Arsenal, and Jack Wilshere coming on then straight after that went in. But they just weren't able to fashion any chances. There were obviously a threat from set pieces and stuff. Obviously, Swansea had a couple of nervy moments towards the end, as every team would, but they held out for the win. And obviously, there's only one man of the match for me. It's got to be Jefferson Montero. He was superb during this game. He was so good for Ecuador during the World Cup, and he's got his move to the Premier League, and he's shown to Garry Monk today with the injuries of Dyer and... it begins with an R. I can't remember what his name. Routledge, that's it. Right, him and Routledge are out. It's what football's all about. When people are playing your position are injured, it's your time to shine. And Jefferson Montero really showed Garry Monk what he can do. And maybe after the international break, that he'll keep his place in the side. I would keep him in if I was Garry Monk. He was superb. My man of the match. This has been Your Opinion News here. Please follow us at Twitter at EPL News, the #5 Comment down below your opinions on the match. Please like, subscribe, and have a wonderful day. I'd also just like to quickly apologise whenever this video is uploaded. I really don't know. My internet's completely playing up at the moment. It's hard to upload videos, but I'll do my best for you to try and get it on for you today. I've obviously done it straight after the match on Sunday, so we'll see whether it gets up in time. Anyway, have a nice day.